my YouTube family, and thanks for stopping by. I have already connected with your energy, and I was guided to these three cards for you, which is Honeybee, Roadrunner, and Mouse. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and get started. The honeybee has shown up in your reading today because you need to let compassion and forgiveness be your top priority in this situation that you're facing. To reap all the sweetness that life has to offer, focus on compassion and forgiveness. Compassion means that you have heartfelt empathy for the suffering and misfortune of others, yet remain somewhat detached so that you don't take on their sorrows and distress as your own. Forgiveness requires that you first acknowledge and accept responsibility for your judgment rather than pretending they don't exist or professing to always sustain a non judgmental attitude. The next step is to release those judgments. To do so, think of someone, past or present, with whom you have judgment or criticism. Trust that the first person that comes to mind is the appropriate one to start with. Consider two or three specific criticisms that you have about this individual, preferably captured with one word such as selfish or cold. Find a quiet place, go inside yourself and look for that part of you that's exactly like what you're judging in other people. It may be a very prominent part of yourself or a rather small aspect. You may identify it by recalling times when you've behaved in ways that resemble what you're criticizing. Once you discover that part of you, simply say to you, I love you and forgive you. If necessary, repeat this two or three times and notice any emotions that comes up in the coming days. Be aware of any feelings that arise that may be associated with this experience. Practice this at least once daily for the next few days and watch what happens and how your life begins to change. And the road runner has shown up in your reading today because you need to keep your sense of humor and don't take things so seriously. It's so tempting to view life in all of its many manifestations and variations as something to be taken quite seriously. Yet, this is exactly the opposite of what you need to do right now. No matter what the situation is, look for the humor in it. It may take time to find something, but if you look for it with this attitude in mind, you begin to see the humor in whatever that shows up in life, even in the seemingly darkest circumstances. Maintaining a healthy sense of humor about most experiences cause you to be lighter in spirit, to smile always, and to appreciate life that much more. Turn that frown upside down by doing what makes you openly laugh. Of course, there are certain times that require a more serious demeanor. Tragedies or traumatic experiences don't call for cheerful and humor. When these events occur, appropriate social restriction apply that demands the expression of emotions. Be courageous. However, these instances are temporary and, like all things, will soon pass. Other than these kinds of situations, life's ironies and stressful situations will be hard to deal with, but you can always find humor. Rather than feeling personally victimized, take a deep breath and see the humor in the situation and have a good laugh and know that things will work out for the best. And the mouse card has shown up in your reading today because you're overlooking some important details. So pay closer attention to what's going on. Pay closer attention to other people's body language, how they move, their gestures, facial expressions, and general postures. When you focus not only on what individuals are saying, but also on their body language, you'll find that you have considerably more information than you can use to understand what they're really communicating, for body language typically reveals far more about people than what they're verbally expressing. Sit back wherever there are people around and simply observe for a while. Look to see if what others say is positive or negative with their body language and watch for any disreferences. In other words, don't always take people at their word. And also pay closer attention to agreements and contracts right now. Take your time to completely understand any agreement, finding out as much as you can by asking questions and consulting friends and experts to get their advice. Be careful, however, not to get bogged down in too much detail. Walk the fine line and know that you have no reason to be rushing into something impulsively. Always sit back and allow your intuition to tell you what is right and wrong in situations. And pay attention to the small details. And make compassion and forgiveness your top priority, and you will be able to move forward. And always find time to laugh. Keep your sense of humor. Laughter is healing. And don't overlook the important details. Open your eyes, your mind, and your spirit so that you can see what's really going on. Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end this reading. I would like to thank you again for stopping by and allowing me to connect with you. I hope that this reading has provided the insight that you were seeking. If this reading resonates, please feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe so that you can receive notifications when I post your new reading. And if you would like to become a member of my channel or make a donation to my channel, the link is in the description and it will be greatly appreciated. Well, until next time, goodbye, my lovelies.